Coventry. It has three main colleges. One for business and social studies, one for physical sciences, and the other one for health and life sciences. The ASK team, ASK stands for academic skills. The ASK team, we support students with their writing and learning. We also do support of statistics, which is basically myself and Monica. And we also do mathematics. We have one advisor who is specifically dedicated to mathematics. There's also in the ASK team a small team of two or three people. Some of them are part-time, looking at transition projects. So helping students to transition, for example, into university life when they come to university. But we're focusing here on the skills advisors. So the skills advisor, we do our job in very distinct, very small. So we run central workshops, so particularly for statistics, for example. We also do in-school teaching, so we work in tandem with lecturers from the various departments, and we typically go in and do either one or a series of lectures on statistics or particular topics in statistics. We have our office hours where we'll just let students to drop in and talk to us. And then we also have a demo of in a minute, basically where the students ask for some help and we sit down with them and do a session with them. Now obviously all of this has changed since the lockdown. You see there was a lot of elements of being physically there. That's no longer happening, and therefore very quickly in March we had to devise ways how to do all this in a virtual way, as remotely. We also, in addition to this, we also run events. Okay, so we have things such as what's called Master's Dissertation Week. So these are particular weeks in the calendar where we are focused on helping students, for example, on master's dissertation. So where we have workshops we organize on the topic, and students, master students who are interested will attend. We similarly have an undergraduate dissertation week. We have what's called an Ask Week, which happens twice a year. And we have a math cafe. So math cafe is an interesting concept, is where students can come in and study in a big area which we create for them, and there will be tutors walking around. So if the student has a problem, they just put their hand up, and someone can help them. Now, of course, trying to do this remotely has presented its challenges, and I will mention a bit some ideas that we've looked into to address this. So what have we done so far for remote teaching and support? So we've had the Master Dissertation Week. This was actually the first event that we had to organize remotely. So very quickly, within the space of a week, we had to prepare everything to be done online rather than physically. What we did is we in statistics we had 3 or 4 sessions during this week. And what we did is we delivered these online. Okay, so typically we had 6 to 10 students attending. So we typically delivered these online, but we had a backup with PowerPoint recording in case something went wrong. So because this is the first time we're using the online system. But luckily things went well and we didn't even need to use the backups. The next challenge we had was Maths Cafe, okay, where as I explained what the physical concept is. Trying to run that remotely, I will explain a bit later how we did that. And we also had in-school teaching, some in-school teaching to do. We had revision classes with the engineering as the exam period was coming up. We had revision classes with social work students as well. And so we had a very array of challenges to look at. And with all this, of course, we had to keep up with the one-to-one appointments. And students that have been used to just sitting down with us had to get used to a different way of doing one-to-one. We'll discuss a bit the benefits of collaborating for each of all these different types of sessions. So first of all, for building a collaborative delivery lectures, I think we've had a lot, we've heard a lot about that. I'm just showing there a picture of, for example, what delivering a slide looks like, and on the side is a list of all the students that are present. We use the share screen feature a lot to share our slides, and we also use the share screen to use a whiteboard from OneNote. So there I'm showing, for example, a picture of the whiteboard. That's actually my handwriting. So with OneNote, you can actually have a typed question, as someone already pointed out earlier, and then you can write the answer underneath whilst discussing it with the students. Some advantages for this, of course, students can log in through the module page. They don't need to have a guest link. They will. That means that they will log in with their registration name rather than any name that they choose. The screen share allows us to use OneNote very well, and private chat. There's a private chat option, allows students to raise questions and comments privately. So I think someone hinted on this already. There might be this feeling with students that they are shy to ask the stupid question, so they can ask the question in confidence using private chat, and that will be dealt with then either confidentially or dealt with in front of the whole class. The disadvantages: with our system, we could only be seeing 4 students at a time. Of course, we have asked the students to switch off the video for bandwidth reasons, but we think that would have been a limitation. For large groups, I think this has been hinted already previously as well, we found that you need a second moderator to help, either for gathering the questions which come up via the chat, or for looking at people who raise their hands. Once we got a size of the group, we thought that you would need someone, a second one to be helping you. And the whiteboard of Collaborate we found to be quite limiting. It is quite small as a writing area, and if you use the rubber, it would delete the whole board, although there is a way how to delete individual items, but it is quite cumbersome. So that's overall our comments on Blackboard for lecturing. We use Blackboard, as I said before, to run Maths Cafe. Okay, and what we did here is we used the breakout rooms which we have been trying out in the past few minutes. So what we did is that we would advertise a link for a particular session during the day. We say the session is running from, I don't know, 10 to 12 and 2 to 4. So there's a link advertised for those sessions, and the students who need help will just simply log into that link. They are then met with someone who we call, for a better name, for want of a better name, we call them the receptionist. The receptionist then understands what the student needs, and then the student will pass them on to the tutor. Now the tutors are located in breakout rooms, so each tutor is in their own breakout room, and therefore the discussion, once you move the student into the breakout room with their tutor, the discussion is private. Okay. And we also created a waiting area, so just in case a student wants to see a particular tutor who is already in the session with another student, they could wait in the waiting area. So the breakout features that were very powerful here, and I think the big advantage of this one is it is on the fly. You can allocate students to questions on the fly, and that's always a big advantage. Okay, I'm showing here the tools that we use. Very simple. We had to advertise this because it was in April, so just about a month after the lockdown started.
Okay, now can people hear me? Good, yes, they can.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Now, some students like to take a picture of the screen with their mobile phone, whereas some other ones like to take. So now it's time to either of to let you know. And
Yeah, that's a
like,
good idea. That's a good idea, actually. I'll take the pictures. It's much easier.
now, once you've done that, once you take the gallery, all you have to do is select the variables. So we have H, and then we have H. And as the H is one of this information, and you can see this is correct. So all you have to do is click A, and before we proceed with the establishment of the application, we also turn off the direction right?
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
So once you run that, you'll get an output on your screen. Hopefully, see.
Yes, I can see that.
And we'll stop here with a demonstration. That's what I was saying. Normally, we come here and explain to students how the output, and in some cases, we don't have students on how to use it. Uh, Unfortunately, most if students are have experience because they need so what I'll do now, go back into the then we still have some and I'm aware of and so can you see this now?
Yes, yes, we can see it.
So I can so some of the challenges we had is that in terms of teaching math and statistics, in terms of uh, be able to have and and be able to have okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. And some of the other challenges, as you mentioned in the morning presentation, we still don't know how might they get out of my session. Something that we like there or maybe some other service get and what we learned so far is that we cannot just get because the line is hard. So we need to consider how we more with breakout, for example, in terms of group discussion, and how we can use raising hands, link, um, so we can actually online teaching. However, we found Skype as being enough in terms of language and actually Skype is what we used to run before the lockdown. Once we got into the lockdown, we moved to video collaborate for working and bigger discussions. But we're still using Skype as the backup once one of it. And I would like here that you start speaking for meetings. Basically, I've been able to speak everything. Um, and they just require a license to Skype. Just to sum up everything, we've been using VBL, especially for workshops and students. Still use Skype as a second point for the one-to-one session. So with online teaching, we've seen a lot of challenges and opportunities, and we need to see, see how we can better engage students with online teaching, especially that moving into study with obviously at the international and national level. So we say thank you for taking part in this presentation, and I think we are going to we are going to join the Facebook WhatsApp in case you have any questions of them.
Very, very nice, guys. I will log out of Skype.
I think the other day, and there is an option to record it. Yes. So the answer is yes. We have a recorder link, but when we looked yesterday at it, we could see there was an option to record even inside.
No, as Monica said, we just saw that yesterday, and yes, students do have the option to record their sessions so if they want to.
James, do you want to put your hand up? So James, do you want to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yeah, thanks a million, guys. I'm just wondering, how did you find engagement with the Maths Cafe
Right.
offline compared to, your usual face-to-face provision?
Okay, so I'll take this, Monica, because I was involved in the Maths Cafe. So the attendance, we realized the attendance for Maths Cafe, I think, to be honest, there was only one word to describe it, which was very poor. And compared to previous years, it was a drastic drop in the number of students and in the number of sessions that we had. So what we realized is that, I think this was mentioned before as well this morning, those who came kept on coming, okay, so they seem to have liked it. But not many students knew that we could actually run something similar to Maths Cafe in a virtual mode, in an online mode. And that's one of my theories why I think there was such little engagement this year. Another reason for that would possibly have been that most of our attendees to Maths Cafe would be first years, perhaps a bit of second years, but as students progress into third and fourth years, they tend to need less help. And in this year's, the first year, most of the first years did not have exams in Brunel, so seriously cut off a big chunk of our potential market, so to speak, for the Maths Cafe. But it's worth exploring, I think, real reasons why students are not engaged with that well.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thanks a million.
Yeah.
Thanks, James. So three to ask a question in the chat. The one who wants to ask a question, asking students to share their screen and how they work on SPSS while I walk them through the steps. They appreciate to do the analysis actively rather than be passive observers. Are there reasons that you prefer to share the screen as the tutor and do the analysis while the students watch?
Oh, I can answer that. Actually, we can do it both ways. So we do actually, as Lisa mentioned, sometimes we let them share their own screen and then we do guide them to the analysis. And sometimes we refer to them. So actually, we go both ways, honestly.
Thank you very much, guys, for that. Thank you for taking us through an example. That was really useful. Thanks a lot. And we're now going to move on to our last presentation of the system, which is running up by YouTube. So I'm sure Peter is now about to tell me all the things I've been doing wrong since the start this morning. But hopefully this will work. I noticed that there's a 1 here saying that he's done something. There's a notification, so I'm hoping that there'll be something available to stream.
Refresh.
See if there's anything in the videos. Live now. Here we go. Yeah, hopefully make this large. Play it. Peter, there we go. He's going to. I can hear the YouTube stream that we've been doing in the background. So, Peter, if you want to, when you hear this.
Refresh.
Okay, yes, it looks like it sort of works, although I'm just testing the lag. So, and that's quite interesting. Oh gosh, it's about half a minute lag. Yes, you are absolutely right. So if people don't like that lag, please head over to my channel PK11 Kent on YouTube, where this also takes place, where the lag is about 1 to 2 seconds. I am in a really funny position because I see the live stream of a live stream. It's a little bit like, almost like a mirror in a mirror. So that's quite interesting. Ah, perfect. Wonderful. So, just a quick check for those people who are on the live stream. Can you actually hear me? Does that work? Do I get something here? 6 people are watching. Oops. Yeah, okay. 11 watching now. Good, that's great. And the numbers are going up, I guess. So I wait a little bit for people to head over. Okay, good. Yes, we can hear you. Fantastic. This is the live stream. Excellent. Brilliant. So I will stay on that for the time being. Good. So let's get started. And let me get started with asking you whether you might be worried about face-to-face teaching and online delivery at the same time, which basically would double your workload, doesn't it? Or are you concerned that students might not get the same experience? They get different experience depending on whether they attend a face-to-face session or whether they do online stuff. Perhaps you are scared that you need to use complicated technology, which by default doesn't work all the time. Do you have these concerns? Give me a thumbs up in the comment section. Because if you do, then perhaps live streaming of lectures, of teaching sessions to YouTube is something you might be interested in. And I'm incredibly grateful to Mark for organizing this fantastic conference. I'm really appreciate that I can share some of my experiences with live streaming of lectures. Now, the whole thing started a few years ago when James, a student on the autistic spectrum, told me that he is thinking about dropping out of university because it just simply does not work for him. He doesn't get anything out of lectures. Lectures are confusing. There are too many people in there. The voices are too loud, and he just simply can't cope with it. And of course, James is not just one student. We know that there are considerable numbers of students who, for one reason or the other, are unable actually to attend physical teaching sessions. And as I said, there might be a number of different reasons for that. So there could be commuters, there could be all sorts of things. So my thought was, how can I actually support students who cannot be physically present in a lecture to get something out of the teaching session? I didn't want to lose James. And the funny thing is, rescue came in the form of my then 12-year-old son Sebastian, who introduced me to live streaming and online gaming. And I thought maybe this is something that I can use. Now, I am a huge proponent of the good old chalk and talk. So in a lecture, in a face-to-face lecture, I would usually hook up my iPad to the screen on the lecture, in the lecture theatre. I scribble on it, do explanations, and the students can see what's going on. But how can I transfer that into the online world so that students, wherever in the world they are, maybe next door, maybe in campus accommodation, maybe in a Starbucks in Kuala Lumpur, that they get a similar experience? And then I thought, actually, think about it, writing on my screen, scribbling on it, talking, it's not at all totally different to playing an online, well, if you like, lecture game. So let's see if we find some useful software for that. So I usually use an iPad. I want to point out I'm not affiliated with Apple and I don't get any money from them, although, you know, I might ask them. You can use any tablet, and I can stream whatever I do on my tablet, on my iPad screen to YouTube. And then the students either at home or wherever in the world they are, or also the students in class in a face-to-face session see exactly the same thing, because what I do in a face-to-face session is I just simply put the live stream on YouTube up on the lecture theatre screen. And I discovered that the lag with a decent internet connection, the lag is about 1 to 2 seconds. And that is something I certainly can deal with. So that's not a big problem. Now, what is the software that I use? The whole thing really needs to be very simple. I don't want to stress out with a complicated setup just before I go into a face-to-face session. And luckily there are quite a number of streaming platforms that offer apps for exactly this purpose, for gaming, if you like. And the lectures, the teaching sessions, the face-to-face, they are exactly what they are. They're gaming sessions. So my current favorite is this Omelette Arcade app, but there are also other streaming apps and platforms. For example, there is one called Streamlabs. There is one, the U Recorder, something like that. You just simply connect to this online gaming platform, and they allow you to not just stream to the platform like Omelette Arcade games, but also you can stream to YouTube and Facebook. And these platforms the students are absolutely familiar with. And in order to start this live stream, all I need to do really is swipe down on my screen and start the live stream. Press the Start Broadcast button. It usually is quite helpful. It usually is quite helpful if you turn the microphone on. Occasionally that there are some issues. Now, Gordon is asking, does your university have to approve posting of videos to lectures? That's an interesting question, because I was told actually that, well, the university does not use as an official provider for YouTube. But then also the senior management said, but if it works, hey, why not? Sounds great. So, well, and yes, I do have my own YouTube channel because I create Khan-style tutorials, as I will mention in a moment. So I use this Omelette Arcade or the U Recorder to stream to YouTube. What do I use as my whiteboard? Now, there are loads of useful applications out there. My preferred one is this one here, Notability. And actually, what you see currently on the screen is Notability. I could, yes, I can see your comments. unlisted. I can make it unlisted, but that's too complicated. I'm a really great believer in open educational resources, and therefore I'm quite happy to stream publicly. If somebody wants to watch it and listen to my ramblings, hey, they are more than welcome. Well, if the university is not top happy about it, well, please come up with other alternatives that are what I would say to the university, which are as easy to use and useful. But I don't want to go into political discussions. So I use Notability. Notability is great because, for example, I can prepare something in PowerPoint or Keynote. I can import that into Notability. I can zoom. My slides are in Notability, although I don't do slides in lectures. I really like to write on the screen because it puts the lecturer and the students at the same pace. Now, if you are really interested in how to set up an iPad or let's say a Galaxy or something like that, here I've set up a website that talks you through the setup procedure, and you can scan it. And yes, I know students in China, they will not be able to access YouTube. However, what I can do is there is also an option to stream via Panopto if I really must. But I will come back to that in a minute. So here is a setup guide how you can set up a live stream from a tablet through Omelette Arcade directly to your YouTube channel. This is basically what the students will see. Here we did a discussion of a t-test and things like that, so you would hear it. I don't need to tell you about the live stream because you are already in it. Here's the chat function, and people are doing... Yes, I know it doesn't work for people who don't have a barcode scanner, and I promise you I will put the link for the setup then later on into the live chat. So no worries, it will all be given. So, but thank you for this comment. So interesting is that, well, I like to talk to students in the lecture. I ask loads and loads of questions. The students then also occasionally ask questions, but we all know that quite a number of students are a little bit shy when it comes to interaction, at least in a face-to-face session. However, I found that very often in the chat sessions, the students feel safer actually to type something in than to ask a question in a face-to-face session. So it almost looks like there is more interaction going on in these chat sessions than in the face-to-face sessions. So it's more interactive. Other benefits of the live streaming that I've encountered is they're cheap. They're really easy to use. They're scalable. I don't care whether there are 5 or 5,000 students in my lecture. What I do care about is it really empowers the students. It gives them a choice. And that is really, really important. The students can choose whether they want to attend a session in person or whether their circumstances are such that they can't attend or they don't want to attend. It gives them the choice. And it can be used for students, let's say on placements, apprenticeships, students who are unfortunately in self-isolation, commuting students, carers, or students with caring responsibilities. They all can be present in a session and participate and see what's going on. And students said to me, actually, it gives me a sense of belonging. It gives me a sense of being part of an academic community. And I thought that's absolutely great. So here are a few comments from students. And I let you have a look at them. So very clearly they have some preferences, students. They prefer to work in a quieter environment. Are great when I'm too overwhelmed. And let's not forget, a lot of students have this sense of, oh my God, there are 120 PowerPoint slides. Where do I start with it? This student here is really interesting because he attends the face-to-face session, but he has a visual impairment. So he is watching in the face-to-face session the live stream on his tablet because the tablet is exactly set up to his requirements. So it takes care of the individual needs of students. This one is an interesting one, and more accessible to YouTube compared to Moodle. And quite a number of students told me that. So, yes, we can stream through Moodle and Panopto. But what we can also do is, because it is YouTube, all the sessions are actually recorded on YouTube. So what I can do is I can download YouTube and put it directly on Moodle, or put a link to the YouTube video after it has been recorded onto Moodle. So students don't really miss out on it. Took a lot of stress away. Some students told me they really like to turn on the automatic closed caption, ACC, in YouTube, especially if they are non-native speakers. And they use that for revision purposes. I have a student who has a hearing impairment, and she says usually lectures are not very accessible to her, but with the closed caption in YouTube, which are automatically generated, she can actually participate and listen to the lectures. Now, when I started the project, people asked me, yeah, it's all good, but what about the attendance in your lectures? Is the attendance not going down? Actually, of course the attendance is going down. This is by design. I want students actually to make a choice, to have the power to say, yes, I'm not going to the lecture, I am watching at home. So my cohort is 250 students, and from the extensive analytics on YouTube, 163 plus minus 25 also are watching, so it's a good coverage. I don't know whether they are all my students. There are some interlopers, but fair enough, that's not a problem. Interesting is the average length of watching is around 20 minutes, and that is quite interesting. We know that the average attention span of a student and a lecturer, i.e. me, no, my attention span is shorter than 20 minutes, is not full hour. So maybe we can do something better with that. Attention span, yes. Attendance going down, but a colleague of mine tried this approach and was looking at how do students respond. Now, this colleague in the Kent Business School made the observation, yes, the attendance goes down, but the engagement goes up. And that is exactly what we want. And perhaps I have the suspicion that maybe we are too concerned about lectures, about these face-to-face techniques. Maybe we can use better tools. For example, we know that practice makes perfect. So what I have done is I have created, I've learned front-end web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and I've set up a website where the students can practice basically unlimited questions. So they can do a question, they can check whether they got it right, and if they struggle, each of these questions is accompanied by a YouTube tutorial, a Khan-style YouTube tutorial that I've created. And so they can practice. And from feedback from the students, I know that many of these students, of my students, make use of that and they find it very useful. We could use other techniques, for example, mastery learning assessment, interleaved learning, distributed learning, to not do away with the online teaching, but to augment learning as such. So for those of you who do have a smartphone, here is the scan code for my unlimited practice question website. And again, I will put something down in the video description of this live stream. So, to me, can I do without this technique of live streaming to YouTube? Yes, of course, I can. Although it provides me with flexibility. I can do just face-to-face. I can do a hybrid version. So, hybrid version. Or I can do pure online. It gives me incredible flexibility. Can I do without it? Yes, I can. Do I want to do without it? Definitely not. So I think I better stop at that time. Oh, okay. So how long do does it take me? That's a tricky question because usually I don't really prepare lectures. So I just go in there, have fun with the kids, and as I don't have any slides, I just scribble on the screen and tell them a story. And occasionally my dog will feature in lectures. I can do pictures of dogs and things like that. So it is no more work doing the online bit because the face-to-face and the online basically happens at the same time and there is no difference in student experience. And I know I'm running out of time, I apologize, but if you wonder what happened to James, who basically kicked that all off, well, James took a year out to get the right support that he needed. And had it not been for this really stupid virus, James would have graduated this year in July with a first class honors in biomedical sciences this year. I'm terribly proud of James. He made it, and I'm not saying that I am responsible for that, but I like to think that I was able to give a little bit of support to James, and I wish him all the very best of luck with his job and career after university. At that point, I think I better stop and try to answer questions. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm very happy to answer questions now. Thank you. So let me a little bit of support to James, and I wish him all the very best of luck with his job and career after university. At that point, I think I better stop and try to answer questions. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm very happy to answer questions now. Thank you.
Brilliant. That's great. Hopefully we will log in to Big Blue Button and go from there.
Let me see.
He can hear himself. the lag. As someone put, it is a bit of inception going on. But again, if you want to log into Big Blue Button, that